האמת היא שהייתה לי הסחת דעת, ורציתי לדבר על עידן אלכסנדר, שהוא נמצא עם טראמפ. אני אגיד את זה באנגלית. So, I was a bit distracted. I wanted to talk about Idan Alexander. See, I have good English. Can you hear my English? It's because my father spent 5 years in the USA helping American Jewish people who wanted to come to Israel and helping the country explaining to Americans about Israel. And so he worked for the United Jewish Agency, which used to be the main organization that helped people who wanted to come to Israel. Sadly, people who don't live in certain countries do not receive help from Israel to come. Like, as I found out from having Dutch children, that for some reason, if you're Dutch, you're not entitled to, like Americans receive a lot of help. And to be honest, if you want to come to Israel, a lot of people take advantage of Israel, and Israel spends a lot of money on lone soldiers. So if you declare yourself as a lone soldier, your parents don't live in Israel, you get a lot of help. You get money to live in an apartment, you get extra money, unlike other soldiers. Now, Idan Alexander had very good intentions, I'm sure, when he came to Israel. He was a combat soldier. He is Israeli. He was born in Israel. So I don't see how he's American in the way that I am not American. He's American because he has American citizenship. His parents are Israelis. But is he American, really? What is an American? For me, an American is somebody who was born there, grew up there, has some roots. A person who's Israeli, his parents are Israeli, his grandmother is Israeli, and he wasn't born there, and he just speaks really beautiful American English because he was raised there. Doesn't make him an American for me. He doesn't serve in the army there. He doesn't really seem committed to anything there. I don't know, did he go to university there? Did he do anything there? He wanted to come to Israel. And what's really sad that after he went through hell in Gaza, I think he's been used by politicians because Trump said, when Trump was elected, then the terrorists moved Idan to better conditions because they were afraid of Donald Trump, but they were not afraid of Biden. So, of course, Trump is really delighted in that. But why don't you work to get the other hostages free? Why should having an American citizenship give you an advantage over people from Thailand or other people, nationalities, who are still being held in Gaza? Another matter is Idan Alexander and his mother and father fled Israel when we were under threat by Iran. They left their grandmother here. What kind of people leave their grandmother? I just spoke to a really nice Arab woman who told me that although she lives in a building with a bomb shelter, she didn't want to leave her mother. So she went to the Arab area where, I don't know if it's a city or a village anymore. She went to stay with her mother because she didn't want to leave her mother alone during the Iranian war. And they had very dangerous rockets falling all over. They didn't have a bomb shelter, but she preferred to be with her mother. And that for me is beautiful. But Idan Alexander is now, he says he's working to get the other hostages released. He's a young guy. Do you think Trump is listening to you? No, but you prefer to live, your home is in New Jersey, it isn't in Israel. Even though you served in the army, you were kept in Gaza as an Israeli soldier, not because you're an American. And, although they took Americans and Thai and African and all kinds of nationalities, instead of being more attached to Israel, knowing what Israelis have to endure, knowing what you other hostages have to endure, you escape Israel on a special flight, emergency flight for Americans. And you're not even really an American. You're an Israeli who left Israel. You came back to Israel. Now you left it during the most difficult time in Israeli history. when Iranians were sending rockets, and yes, we had fewer casualties than to be expected, but still people lost their lives and a lot of people lost their homes. Instead of being here and helping Israel, you think you're meeting with Donald Trump, you're wearing a suit, your mother wears an evening gown, and you're a special guest of Donald Trump, and you think that you are helping to release the hostages. I don't think so. You could have helped so much more. When you live in Israel and you're actually part of the Israeli society, and any job you do, even working in a supermarket would be better than to live in New Jersey and to help release the hostages. What do you do every day when you get up? You're not part of Israel. You're not paying taxes to Israel. You're not really an Israeli citizen, even though you are. You were born here. Your grandmother was born here. You're generations of Israelis, and you left Israel. You turned your back to Israel again. As a child, you couldn't help it. Your parents took you away. But now, after you were held hostage, after all these people, and your grandmother, I know her, I live near her, she worked so hard to get you out of Gaza. And this is what you do. You leave your grandmother in Israel under Iranian rocket attacks. People like that, I don't have any respect for. I really don't. I don't have any respect for my family, who hasn't been really nice, but I do have respect for that girl, that Arab girl who stayed with her mother rather than in a bomb shelter because she wanted to be with her family. She wanted to be with her grandmother and her mother. And she didn't, she didn't escape to a bomb shelter. She thought about her mother. And they didn't want to leave their home. And sadly, I would leave my home. I did leave my home and stayed in the community bomb shelter because I wasn't sure I would be able to wake up the dog or myself and go to the bomb shelter. And I have a bomb shelter. But imagine not having a bomb shelter but preferring to stay with your mother who didn't want to leave for some reason or couldn't maybe leave. I don't know what were the reasons she didn't leave her home. But to stay with the family. And Israel, in a way, it's a family. It's not maybe the nicest family at all times, I have to say. I'm not always enjoying the family here. I don't really have a good connection with my own family here, I'll be honest. But it is a family, and when you turn your back to your family, you're helping get the hostages released. Like what? What are your qualifications? So I have a master's degree from an American university. I have a BA from an Israeli university. And still, I'm not qualified to help release the hostages. You know who's qualified to help release the hostages? I think people that deal with the terrorists, people who gave them money. Qatar, Russia, all the people that sponsor them. They're the ones that can release the hostages because they're the ones who are paying the terrorists money. Because maybe you don't know it, but Gaza is actually people are not starving there. There's plenty of food. The problem is the distribution of food, that there's a terror organization, a corrupt terror organization, I might add, that takes over the food deliveries. And this is why IDF soldiers have had to shoot. So those people don't steal the food from children and women and elderly people, because this is the kind of society they live in. It's not because they're Arabs or Muslims. It's because the Hamas is a horrible, demonic terror organization. Doesn't care about their own people or other children. It's not because they're Muslims. It's because they're terrorists. Because not every Muslim is a terrorist, and not every terrorist is a Muslim, by the way. But there are, because the people in England who are cheering and calling for death of our soldiers and calling for destruction of my country, they're terrorists in my opinion. The BBC is terror collaborator, and they're not Muslims. So, and there are wonderful Muslim people that are not supporting terrorists. So that's what I have to say today. Idan Alexander, what the hell are you thinking? You're never going to be an American, even if you and your children and their children are living in America, you will never be an American. You know why? Because an Israeli person can never change their identity. It's a very deep identity. And once you're an Israeli, you're always an Israeli. Once you're a Jew, you're always going to be a Jew. There's certain identities you cannot get away from. The Arab cousins know it. Once you're an Arab, you're always going to be an Arab. It doesn't matter how many years you live in England. You'll always look out for the Arab cause. You'll always think like an Arab person, and you'll always be closer to your own people. That's how life works. We're always closest to the people where we come from. And as much as I suffer from mean comments, mean behavior, rude comments from Israeli people around me, that's my family, and they're also wonderful people, and I enjoy the support. I enjoy the good comments and the good people of Israel, Arab and Jews, by the way. So, yeah, people try to divide us into subcategories, but you really can't escape your identity. It's in your DNA, it's in your everything. And as much as I try to escape it as well, I will always be what I am. And as God said to Moses when he asked him, "Who are you?" I am what I am. And you can never escape your identity. Shiva will always be what Shiva is. I will always be what I am. You can never escape who we are, no matter how hard we try. And why should we even try?